This 2009 Ford Escape Hybrid has been given to me because an old lady is tired of dealing with its problems. Now this thing only has 40,000 miles on it, if you can believe that, and it's already had the high voltage battery replaced. Well, it's dead again, and this old lady is tired of it, so she's giving it away to us, and we're going to see if we can fix it. Now I have never worked on a high voltage battery before, so this is going to be a learning experience, and we're going to see if I can fix this thing and get it back where it'll run and drive again. We got voltage, we go to start it, and we got nothing. Won't even attempt to start. Now there's no starter on these hybrids. They just start with the electrical motor, the hybrid motor itself in between the engine and transmission. There's no starter to check. So if we're not starting, then it's not even doesn't even feel like it's attempting to start. In the battery control module, we have a hybrid battery pack charging state low, battery power off circuit, 14 power module system voltage low, and then battery energy control module. We have 4 codes in there. We got some PCM codes too, system voltage low, power relay outage too early. So these are all low voltage codes. We're all running low voltage codes. Now we're going to clear all these codes real quick, see what, if anything, doesn't clear or comes immediately back. Let's see what, if it, turn it off, and let's see if it does anything when we try to start it now. All right. Okay, so it started for a second there, and then it shut back off. So we can get it to do it again. Nothing. Okay, now it won't do anything. Let's see what the high voltage battery percentage is here. So we're gonna go to read data stream. So it says we have 0% charge, battery pack state of charge, 0%. It's reading about 50%, 250 volts in the battery pack, which is a lot, but a full charge is about 400 volts. So we should be running 400, so we're about 150 volts low. I guess that's the charge range is 150 volts. It says that the pack's okay, so I think we need to figure out a way to charge this thing. So there are various ways to charge these batteries. Ford has a way where you can hook up a jump starter to the back of the battery directly to it, but not all the batteries have the hookup for the jump starter, and to get the jump starter from Ford, you have to go to the dealership has to request it, and there's not even a guarantee you can even get it anymore. Now, I have never taken a high voltage battery apart, and I may have to do so to get this one charged. But before I start taking bolts apart on this battery, I want to make sure that I can't do something that's very simple and easy to do and has very little risk. Now, I've seen a YouTube video where a Tesla had gone dead and somebody drug it behind a tow truck for a number of miles and got it to charge through regenerative charging. Since the only way to naturally charge this battery is to drive it or run the combustion engine, I thought maybe if we drug it behind a car, we could get the regenerative charging to charge the battery up enough to start the engine and charge it up the rest of the way. All right, we got the voltage and the charge right here, so we're gonna see if it goes up. We are in neutral right now. We're about to get pulled here in just a second. There we go. So, not seeing anything as of yet. We may have to go a little faster here. So we pulled it around the parking lot about 10 times and gained 1 volt. And we discovered that this wasn't going to really work like this. So we thought we needed to go a little faster. So we decided to go down the street to an empty parking lot and see if we could get it to go a little faster. And I also thought maybe I could start the vehicle while we were pulling. Maybe if I got it to start for a couple seconds like we did earlier, then that would be enough to have the engine turn on and charge the battery up the rest of the way. So we've gone up 5 volts. We've done 10 laps. This is, yeah. We may need more time.
This may be a to be continued video. What are you trying to see if it's gonna reset? Like, and see if it's gone up any further?
I'm just gonna try to like start it with the car moving. What do you think?
I don't know. I know you said there wasn't anything to screw up, but I mean, wouldn't that really cause some problems? I mean, the car already doesn't run, but I mean, I don't know what could be worse than that, but...
I don't know either.
I mean, worst comes to worst, just bang the freaking engine up.
I think I got the car running. I have power steering. I don't know what's running the car right now.
No way. No way.
I don't. I started it while it was running, and now I have power steering. But the RPMs still aren't on. Back to the data stream. Oh, we got 1% state of charge. Look at that.
Oh.
After about 16 minutes of driving in circles in this parking lot, we only got about 1% of charge and about 6 volts gained on the battery altogether. At this rate, it was going to take forever to charge this battery up this way, so we had to come up with a different option. So we took the car back to the shop and we let it sit for a few days, and I did some research. Now, after some extensive research, I found a YouTube video of all things that would help me fix this battery for good. Now, in this YouTube video, it was a guy taking apart one of these hybrid batteries and putting in a little charger from Amazon that was able to plug into a 120 outlet and charge the battery up in about an hour or two. So I went ahead and bought the exact part from the video I saw on YouTube off of Amazon. It was only $60 and it got here in a few days, so we got ready to go ahead and push this vehicle inside and take the battery apart. This is the safety fuse here. So we can go ahead and unlock it. We're going to take it out and leave it out. We're going to put it in a shipping service for right now. So there's no voltage going to the battery now. The cells are up here. So anyways, we got to get the cover off. You got these tamper-proof Torx head bolts. And there's some on the sides over here too that you got to get to. They're very difficult to get to on the sides. So I'm going to start with those by getting those loose because they're the hardest. And then we're going to get all the easy ones off. And then we're going to lift the battery cover off, and we're going to put a device in here, right here, that's going to enable charging. And we're going to put an actual 12-volt outlet that comes out of here, and we should be able to charge this battery up once we're done. This is what we're using to get those side bolts off of this cover here. They're a little tight to get to. I couldn't exactly get it with these angles, so I'm coming over here. We're going to see if we can break them loose with this. I'm hoping I can. It's hard to see, it's hard to feel, it's hard to do everything in here. But, oh, there it goes. All right, I broke it loose. Yeah. It's still really tight under there. Hurts. Not really. Okay. The only problem with that is I don't have enough room to get the bolt out, technically. Oh, it died. The gimbal died. Sounded like.
Yeah, we're...
Alright, so we got these two little screws from the sides. It was very difficult. We had to use a bit to get like a little T27. I had to shave it down and use like a 1/4 inch ratchet. It was very tight in between there. Anyway, we got them out. So those are out. Now we're gonna get the battery cover off of this thing. And this just got some tamper-proof T30s in it. That's all it is. And you got all those little T30s. And this thing already has a charger in it. Look at that. This is the old charging system right here. And they must have put one back in here. We don't have a charger for it, though, is the problem. So that is the jump start module from Ford, and I guess they put it back in this battery after she had to have it charged so many times. In 2009, they took it out of these batteries for some reason when they had it in the 07 and 08 versions. Now, we do not have the charger that hooks up to this jump box module, so we cannot use this thing to jump start this battery. Okay, you can see here I got the power probes into the back of the module here, and we're running no voltage because the fuse is out. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can put the fuse in and see what happens. Now, as soon as you set that fuse in there, we got 250 volts. That's a lot of voltage there. And that's basically dead. It's gotta be up to 300 volts for this battery to work and for this car to work. So that's why the car's not starting. We already knew that though. We could see that on the scan tool. So now we're going to take this out, take the fuse back out. It disconnects the battery there. Now we have no voltage going to those wires over there. We know that for certain. You can see no voltage. Unplug the old one here. Okay, so there's our wires out of there. Okay, so there's the old charging unit, which feels really light. So essentially what we're going to do is that right there. Just slap this thing in here. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and wire this in, and the there's 3 wires that come out of one side. One of them is ground, that goes to the top here. We're gonna screw that in right here. Make sure you can see that. ACL is the brown wire right here. It kind of looks pink, but it's brown. That goes to your gold fitting right here on your load side. Ground hooked up, the ACL hooked up. Now we're going to hook up the A and C, and that goes to the silver bolt over here on this side. Blue to silver, brown to gold. We kind of make it simple like that. Now next we had to wire the high voltage battery into our power supply. Now our power supply doesn't use much amperage, so we don't need to have this connection to be very strong or a very big gauge. So we just used 2 splice connectors, and we spliced the high voltage wires right into our power supply. It was pretty simple to do. The only problem is I used too big of splice connectors at first. They didn't really dig into the high voltage wires, so I had to go a size down. And once I did, I felt like I had a good connection with the high voltage wire. All right, I changed these up because the big ones were not squeezing down enough to get a good connection. So now we're gonna put the fuse back in it. So we're at 251 volts, and that's because I've tested this already and it actually charged just a little bit. So we got it. I'm gonna set this right here where you can see it, and you're gonna see me plug it in the background and see how much the charging voltage goes up. that doesn't sound good. Well, the charging voltage goes up. It was making a very weird sound, and I did not like the sound of that. So I went ahead and stopped it. Now that noise was a little scary when dealing with 250 volts, but it seemed like it was coming from the splice connectors I had just put in. So I took some needle nose pliers and squeezed them down a little more to make sure they got a good connection. And it seemed like it fixed this issue. Once again, this might not be the best way to connect this power supply to the high voltage battery, but if it works, who cares, right? All right. So as soon as we plugged it up, the voltage started jumping up pretty quickly, and this was pretty surprising because in the videos, it just went up for a couple volts and then kind of leveled off. So really, we just need to get it over 300, and then once it's over 300, it should start back up. It didn't take it but a couple more minutes to get over 300 and all the way up to 320 volts. Once we did this, we unplugged it, and when we unplugged it, it dropped all the way back down to 309 volts and kind of settled there. So we figured it was a good time to see if this vehicle would actually start now. All right, let's see what happens when we just try to start it now. I wonder if it's got enough.
Start by itself.
Yep, now it'll charge by itself. And there it goes, shut off. What's voltage at down there?
255, there was 320.
Okay, well we confirmed it. We got to charge it up. So we're gonna leave this kind of the way it is. It went all the way back down to 260 by just starting it. So starting it, the hybrid motor is what starts the vehicle, so this battery is essentially what starts the vehicle. So just running it for that short amount of time burned up all the voltage we had just charged into this thing. So let's plug it back up, and we're going to let it charge for a good while and get up to at least 350, maybe 400. So we let it charge for about an hour, and it got all the way up to about 346 volts. And then it was the end of the day, and it was time for me to go home, and we decided to let it sit overnight unplugged and see how it held the charge with the multimeter on it. All right, these are not ideal conditions for working on EVs, so yeah, we're gonna get all this cleaned up, and we're gonna get this battery covered back up, because apparently this has a leak in it up here, and it was leaking down overnight. I don't think we got anything in the battery actually, but there's some water, so we don't want that. No water got down in the battery, so that's good. We just got some on the fuse there, which isn't ideal. So we're at 332 here, only at 1% of charge. Pack's okay. So now we're gonna try to back it in. Let's try to back it in here. Let's see what happens when we start it up. Let's just watch the voltage here. All right, voltage is actually going up here. All right, we backed it in here. I think that's good enough. We can actually probably go ahead and drive it. You see it's charging up now. I'm gonna let it run for a second and see if it charges up. Got the leaning a little bit towards charge, so. Well, damn, we're looking good now. We're at like 3-4% of charge here. We're gonna put the cover on the battery, and then we're gonna start it back up and let it charge some more. So we're gonna leave the scanner on it so we can read the battery pack data. We put the cover back on the battery, and we left the two side bolts out that were so hard to get out. So in case we had to take it back off, we didn't have to go through that process again. Once we had the cover back on the battery, we put the fuse back in, and we let the vehicle run for about an hour or so. While it was running, it charged it all the way up to about 50% state of charge on the battery, and it still stayed at about 350 volts. Now, I believe this is normal for these hybrid batteries, so we went out to test drive it to see how it drove. Now keep in mind, this is when Hurricane Helene was coming through a couple weeks ago, so we had a bit of rainfall on this day while I was test driving it and fixing the battery. All right, first drive here. We got a tree down over here, so we're gonna go around the fire department here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your duty there. Now, let's take a look at our EV, HV, whatever the heck it is. It's driving beautiful. We're gonna look at our voltage and state of charge here. So we're at over 50% of charge, 53%. We'll have to drive it when it's not raining so much because yeah, this is not the best day for this. But it drives. We got it fixed, guys. We got it fixed. There's a lot of water being dumped here today. But by the time we got back out the street, they already got it cleared out. Look at the fire department. Got it cleared up already. Attaboy. After the hurricane cleared up a little bit, we decided to take it back out for another road test, and it drove great again. So we decided to let it sit over the weekend and see how the battery held charge over a couple days without being used. And to my surprise, on Monday, we went back out and this vehicle started right back up with zero problems, not even a check engine light. So we gave it to my brother to take on a long road test for a couple of days because we had to do some stuff to his car. It drove great for him, but he did bring it back with a check engine light. Luckily, it was only an evap code that had to do with a purge valve in the canister down below. We got that replaced, and now this car is ready for somebody else to drive it as a daily driver. It's driving great. It's holding high voltage battery charge great. It starts up, runs, drives every single time you go to get in it. So it seems like we have this problem fixed, and we have a permanent solution to jumpstart this high voltage battery if it ever drains back down again. When I first got this problem, it seemed like it was going to be impossible to fix. But the more I work on cars, the more I realize that nothing is impossible to fix. Where there is a will, there is a way, and I'm glad we found one on this one, and we can give this car some more life because it definitely deserves it with only 40,000 miles on it. Now I take these cars from the impossible and fix them all the time. So if you're interested in another video, feel free to check out my channel and check out all the videos where I restore all these cars that are probably not worth it. You can also check me out on Instagram and Facebook where I post weekly content about the day-to-day things that I do. Now, if you have any questions about what I did in this video or any of my other videos, feel free to email me at justcallme81@gmail.com. You can ask me questions about your personal car or any problems you may have with your car at all. Thanks for watching, and as always, whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you work hard, make sure you play hard, and most importantly, make sure you stay dirty. You can just call me Eddie.